Sad Rick. Very sad Rick. Very sad Rick. Happy Rick. I am Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark. I didn't watch it last night because I was so tired after watching Dracula 3D that I had to wait till tonight. But it was so worth it. I'm a happy man. I got the movie on Blu-ray. I got my cheer wine. Nectar the gods. Just watched the movie. It was awesome. We are a better place for having a Mega Shark franchise out in the world. We are a better country. We are a better species for having Mega Shark move from just a internet sensation and a straight to video film into a full fledged franchise that, as the back reads, an epic battle saga continues on the scale of Transformers and Lord of the Rings. What can I say? I love the first time I heard about the first film, Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus. Sold, bought the film on DVD. I don't think I've even rented it. Watched it, loved it. Second film, Mega Shark vs. Crocosaurus, same thing. Third film, Special Reserve. So I get my hands on Blu-ray. Enjoy it. I did. I loved it. It's okay. The story is, what more do you want? It's basically a different Mega Shark, different Megalodon, a giant block of ice was being transported through Alexandria in Egypt because Sailor mentions a drought, and another Megalodon breaks out of it. And the first thing he does is he tail swipes this tugboat into the Sphinx. Pops the Sphinx's head clean off. And that's the opening 2 or 3 minutes of the movie. And if you can't accept that, you can't accept the movie. This film, I don't even want to spoil the third act because it reaches such a height of lunacy. I went, really, movie? You're doing that? Okay, let's do it. There's points in a film where I just go, right, movie, done. I check out. Like in Battleship when they dropped the anchor and drifted the battleship like it was a street racer. I said, I'm done, movie. I'm out of here. But this was just such lunacy. I fell in love with it. I'm happy. It's not just cheerwine, which during games I like it. But no, I legitimately feel for me. You know what? Yes, it's silly. Yes, it's over the top. And people are going to comment, well, Rick, that's so stupid. It's a stupid idea. You know what? Let's take a look at movies that a lot of people love. Well, what if I tell you a story about I don't know, a guy who has metal infused to his skeleton who is immortal and heals really quickly and has a short temper? Or what about a young teenager who waves a stick around and blasts magic pixie dust at people? How is a mega shark fighting a gigantic metal shark, a mecha shark, any more ridiculous than Wolverine or Harry Potter? How is that any more ridiculous? It reminds me of a quote at the end of Bruce Campbell's memoir of If Chins Could Kill, where he says, ostensibly, or I think this might be the full quote, the B movie has won, the A movies just don't know it yet. I mean, if you look at the full scale of tentpoles, they're all B pictures with A-list budgets. This is an unapologetic B film on a B budget, and it's all the better for it. In a way, I wouldn't even take. I would love to see, Michael Bay or Roland Emmerich or just Spielberg try to pitch a studio this kind of movie. And I do appreciate Pacific Rim getting made. I do appreciate the new Godzilla film coming out. But this is one of those things where, if it was done on a really big budget, it almost would lose its charm. I absolutely love this movie. I enjoyed it so much. It does move very quickly. It's only about 85 minutes long, has a nice little pace, and actually something at the end of the credits, which is a bit of a rarity for straight-to-video films. What can I say? It's fun. It goes through the standard motions. The storyline doesn't break. any conventions. It does have quite a few callbacks to the other movies. The infamous airplane sequence from the first film gets a callback to. There's a callback to the giant octopus from the first film, but instead they use giant squid. So there's callbacks to the other movies. Mostly it's the first one. The second one seems to have lapsed away, which is a little disappointing. I rather enjoyed the second film. I still kind of would have loved to have seen Mecha Shark versus Giganotosaurus. How that would have worked, I don't know, but would have still been awesome, I'm sure. Um, but so the harkening back to the first film, my only my two little disappointments. One's more personal. The only major disappointment I have is Debbie Gibson, 80s pop star, who was in the first film, comes back for this film. She's on the, she's prominently featured in the artwork on the front and the back. She's effectively an extended cameo. She only has one scene with any of the other characters. Otherwise, she's talking on the phone, expounding what she thinks the Mecha Shark's going to do. And so I was a little disappointed because if you're bringing back Debbie Gibson, I want to have her more involved. And at least unlike Mega Python versus Gatoroid, she wasn't offed in the last couple minutes, which was really depressing at the end of that movie, which I also enjoy. Um, and my other disappointment is because the first film, she realizes that Mega Shark will probably follow pheromones because he's probably really really horny, and she reaches the same conclusion in this one that he's really really horny. And part of me just went, you know what would have just been a go for broke kind of moment would have been if Mega Shark took his claspers and tried to breed with with Mecha Shark. That's just me. I thought it just would have just been hilarious to go there in the cockpit and go, "What's that? What's it trying to do?" And there's the robot who Nero. There's a robot who helps control the shark. We go, "It's trying to mate with us, Rosie," or something like that. That's a more I would say that's a more personal thing for me. That it is a little. I admit it's a little bit of a sick idea, but go for broke, why don't you? Um, so yeah, once again the thing is it is completely illogical. The whole film is, but it works because it treats it with a straight face. Asylum has made some movies that try to be like, hey, we're in on the joke, and doing the kind of film where you're looking at the audience going, hey, yeah, we're ridiculous, but we're in on the joke. That's really tough to do because most of the time the humor from the absurdity of the movie comes from everyone treating it with a straight face that we're being very serious about this. But if once you begin acknowledging the ridiculousness of it by the characters, that's when it almost loses its credibility in a weird way. And Asylum has done that a couple times, but thankfully with this one they treat it with a straight face, and there is also a sense of humor about it. And that's one thing that I kind of miss in a lot of low budget movies is humor, and that's one thing. The writer Jose Paredes, which I mispronounced the writer's name of AE Apocalypse Earth, so I probably mispronounced your name too. I'm sorry. Um, but he said an interview I read a couple days ago was that humor is important to him, and there's a scene where this Australian soldier confronts Christopher Judge, the main character, and says, "You don't have authorization to go here." So he's like, "I'm from the U.S. Navy." It's like, "Also, do you have identification?" He's like, "I arrived because they built a." Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. They built a tiny version of the Mecha Shark as almost a test to see if the concept was provable, and he drove that into the Sydney Harbor and parked it. And he says, "I arrived in a mechanical shark. If that's not verification enough for you, I left my wallet at home." Soldier's like, "Oh, go ahead." Yeah, it's fun. Um, I completely enjoyed this movie. The reason why I enjoyed it, because it's ridiculous. I do love ridiculous movies, and part of that comes from once again, I keep harping back to this from my childhood. This movie, Asylum, has pretty much gone full Toho with this movie. Toho, the company behind the Godzilla movies. I mean, there's once again, the whole third act. There's moments in this film that little darker than what Toho I think would probably do and what they would show, but just because of the time and the age, later Godzilla films got a little. Some of them had a few dark moments, like versus Destroya, but uh, this film is as pure. I would definitely see this film being made by Toho or somebody else with stop motion puppets, maybe some guy in a really ridiculous kind of suit trudging around duking it out. You know what? That's a friend of mine from college posted saying, I don't understand your taste in films because of your allegiance to a movie that doesn't advance the medium any way, shape, or form. You know what? We're a better species for this existing. It really doesn't. But you know what? It's a big kid movie. That's what it is, and that's what it does so well. It's a film that appeals to the child and to the ridiculous, slightly immature kid in all of us, who just wants to sit down and just see almost all your imagination, the most ridiculous things you can think of, coming to life, and fully surrendering to it. You know what? But if you can't do that, then it's not the kind of film for you. Um, as the film itself, how it looks, Dracula. Once again, I bring back to Dracula 3D, more production value, better cinematography, a better look. This was shot on Red Epic. I'm guessing by the behind the scenes footage. It looked like they shot on the Epic. Looked much nicer than on also another comparable, very professional camera system. Much better quality. Shot in apparently, I would assume less time to being a silent film. But so it looks like a silent film. There's lots of slow motion. There's stock footage mixed in. The visual effects, it's not ILM, but the visual effects in Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark is probably some of the best, if not the best, visual effects that I've ever seen in a silent film. They really put their money behind this movie, and the artist really put their best foot forward on this film. It looks fantastic. Um, the Mega Shark in this film looks heads and tails above the first movie. He's is a also very different design. He's much bulkier, much meatier. You can tell the skin is roughed up. It's not this. It's not a very smooth CGI creature like you see. Sometimes it's fairly rough. Has battled. Is already like damaged from battle and all that, and scarred. So that was pretty cool. So there was a visualness to that. There's more visual effect shots, than a silent film. And one thing I do notice because I watch these movies a lot is they'll just reuse the same shot of a robot rising from the water. They'll reuse the same shot 3 or 4 times. I really didn't notice. I know some shots were reused, but visual effects wise, I didn't see that many that were reused time and time again. So once again, they spent a lot of money on this film, and thank you for it. This movie really is a wonderful third piece in the trilogy, and I am happy for it. Um, so yeah, visual effects wise, this is probably the best visual effects Asylum has ever done in any of their films, past, present. Um, who knows what the future holds? What they have coming down the pipeline. Um, I hope maybe Transmorphers 3. I really want to see that. I really want to see Transmorphers 3. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. In terms of the actors, I've already spoken about Debbie Gibson, not basically being an extended cameo. Um, the two main characters, Christopher Judge and Elizabeth Rome. I've never seen this actress named Elizabeth Rome, and they're a husband and wife team who invent uh, the submersible. Who sort of, you might say, I guess, conceived the idea of the Mecha Shark, created the AI system Nero to go along with it. And they have a pretty, and I've never really watched Battlestar Galactica SG, where Judge is from. I've never really heard of Elizabeth Rome. Um, Once again, they're both solid actors, and there is some actual chemistry to them, and there's some nice banter. There's some nice humor. Um, that once again, I will say the humor in this movie, it's not a lot. It's not wall to wall, ha ha ha, chuckle chuckle. It's more like you're sitting around with your friends and just gently ribbing each other, or someone else points out you set yourself up for someone else to come in and say, "Oh, you're a bit of an idiot for saying that," and you go like, "Oh, well, shit, I set myself up for that." It's a lot of that, kind of friendly sort of jabbing, which makes all the difference and gives this film a bit of freshness in a sense that it doesn't feel as rigid or as sterile as a lot of other B pictures, which have gone very, very seriously. We must be very serious with these movies because that's what the audience wants. Gritty, audience wants serious, so we always must be serious. And that's one of the reasons why I love the Mega Shark movies so much. Uh, and one of the reasons I love many of the silent films so much because they surrender to the ridiculousness when they can. And when it's ridiculous, it is over the top in this movie. And I am straining not to spoil the third act because it's one of those that, once again, I sat there and went, I was trying to follow for a moment, going like, "What are you doing, movie? Where are you going with this? With the computer program taking over the Mecha Shark, and then the reveal of what's going on, the practicality behind the third act of what happens with the Mecha Shark." I'm a little baffled where the logic came in for the military to do this, but granted, you're looking for logic in a film where the most logical thing to combat another megalodon, instead of developing some high intensity piercing warhead to go on the end of a torpedo to punch through its skin or something like that, that's perfectly calibrated to follow its body heat or its body signature. Nope, screw it. Let's build a gigantic metal shark to go after it. That's the best thing that we can do. There's no other options. It's the snakes on a plane option. Well, I need to kill this witness. Well, uh, what can I do? What can I do? Fill the snake with planes. Fill the plane with snakes. There we go. That's my best option. Okay, the if you can't, that's the part that is just I love it. And that if you can't get past that part, if you just say that's just a stupid idea, then you know what? I think that you're a very sad person. You live a very sad life. That you can't sit back and just be a little kid again, eating your sugar cereal, sitting in front of the television, watching the original GI Joe cartoon show or the original Transformers show, which were also really ridiculous. So that's actually become more of a rant than just a review of the film. But you know what? I don't care. I absolutely loved Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark, and it will be proudly displayed on my bookcase next to the other two pictures, which is I can't see what they're saying next to at the moment. They're sort of wedged in next to Monster Squad, or no, that's actually that's Megafolda and Mega Piranha, so they're sitting right next to that. So it's sitting next to Kindred Spirits as it is. Um, but yeah, so I absolutely love this picture, and huge thank you to the Asylum for making this because certainly I do follow them on Facebook. And there was like a brief time where it seemed that they weren't really interested in pursuing a third film, and that's understandable. Yeah, I always read the interviews that, and one of the producers said that straight to video franchises, unless they come from like a theatrical movie, are very difficult to pull off because the theatrical film you have that name brand, it's much more recognizable. So you can get away with a couple of straight to video sequels because people will recognize, oh yeah, that a film by that title was in the theaters for a little while. I remember that. Something that's straight to video, you really don't have that. And especially now with Hollywood Video and Blockbuster disappearing, Netflix, and the whole home media market has changed so much. The fact Asylum is still around is testament to those folks for constantly evolving. And you know what? Thank you guys so much. You listen to your fans, and here's a fan who's really, really happy. I absolutely enjoyed this movie, and you know what? I know there's quite a few of my friends and folks I chat to on Facebook who are going to go, Rick, you're an idiot for liking that. I don't care. If you can't surrender to the obnoxiousness of the film, the over the top nature of the movie, it's not for you. Um, you know what? I did. I had a blast. I was not bored during this movie. I absolutely enjoyed myself, and I'll be watching it again in the future with the other films. All right, so that's about it for me. I am very very happy. I picked up a really bad film and a really good film. I really enjoyed the mega film, and I got my cheer wine. So so I got a couple other movies I might be reviewing at some other point. Um, but here I'm a little bored, and I felt after showing Dracula, I'll talk about a good film. So I highly recommend Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark, even though to many my recommendation means absolutely nothing, except to one person who I recommended Peter Jackson's Bad Taste to and Dead Alive, and he absolutely loves those films. But he can't get past the first 10 minutes to Meet the Feebles, but whatever. You know what? So take a chance, guys, and watch and enjoy.